All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Crypto eWEEKEND powered by FTX and our media partners CoinCrunch India, Blockmanity, and CoinHost. I'm Sumedha Rana. I'm your host for the evening, and I would also like to thank Inblocks Network to give me this opportunity today to be here with all you fine people and giving me some screen time. And finally, there's a face to the voice, which is always around and behind the scenes. So thank you, Inblocks Network. So we have three amazing people around here today. As speakers, we have first of all Ashish Suvarna here. He started off his journey as a consultant with FTX, and then now he's handling the India business development and customer support. Ashish, you can say hi to the audience. Guys, you guys can show some love for Ashish.
Hey guys.
Smileys, claps, thumbs up.
That's not needed. Yeah, so I think I've been in this space for about 2 years now. I started mid 2018. It's been a pretty exciting journey so far. I started with FTX like only recently in March. We've been working with them since. So yeah.
So I'm just going to introduce Om and Satvik, and then we can come back to you, Ashish.
Okay.
Perfect. Next up we have here is Om. He's the co-founder of Tezsure and director at Tezos India. He's been actively building products in the ecosystem on the blockchain space, and he's been around for 5 to 6 years now. So I can see a lot of blue hearts coming for you, Om.
Thank you, guys.
Great. Next up, we have Satvik Vishwanath. He's the co-founder and CEO UnoCoin.
Yeah. Hello everyone. Thank you.
Hi Satvik. You can say hi to the audience.
Hi everyone.
Great. So let's start, guys. We're going to start with Ashish. So I have a couple of questions in mind, which obviously I'm going to shoot them up to you guys towards the end of the session. So we're going to have 15 minutes of Q&A towards the end of the session. Meanwhile, if you guys have any questions, you can put them down in the question section that we have on the right-hand side with us. And let's start with Ashish. Ashish, first of all, obviously, like globally, there are a lot of things happening in the DeFi front, the DeFi space. And I would obviously want to know that from the FTX front, that where is India headed? Do you see we guys are into any kind of FOMO, or are we lacking behind? Is India still behind? Or I mean, what is FTX take on the decentralized finance?
So basically, DeFi is a pretty new field, right? It has been around for about maybe more than a year now, and people are really excited. Like they're actually attracted to DeFi with the crazy yields that we see nowadays, like 30,000% APY and stuff like that. But there have also been a lot of rug pulls where people, just put in their money and they lose a lot of it. So I think the thing is, like, there should be something where people are able to properly audit a DeFi project and they're properly able to study the project. For example, CoinGecko is a good place where people can go and research what projects are there, what is the supply, what is going on basically. So I mean, specific to I don't think you can probably track what is going on in the DeFi space. It's specific to India because it is open for everyone. So it's probably very difficult for basically any project to track like where is the money coming from. And it is just in wallets. Like it can come from Africa, it can come from Canada, it can come from Australia. It's very difficult to track that in that particular way. But I think where DeFi, right, is it's a fairly new field that is bound to grow in the future. Is what that's what I think in general. I'd also like to ask what Satvik and Om think about it.
I'll go after Om.
Okay. So what my thoughts on DeFi are, I see it as, sort of, not exactly, but I compare it with 2017. So in 2017, there was ICO times, and then, a lot of some went down, and then some sustainable development came in the picture. There were education, users were educating, and then we are seeing some good growth over those projects over the time. And since 2018, what I've seen in all these DeFi primitives they were building up, like some like Uniswap, which was a really good revolution in the DeFi space, like compound lending, borrowing, all this stuff was building up. And when also in 2017, a lot of projects did talk about governance, but the education was not there about the governance. And now we are seeing that people are I would say 6 or 7 months ago, people were into governance, literally making decisions as a collective community. But what we are seeing for the last few months is just sort of FOMO, and as Ashish mentioned, 3,000% APY and all those things going up and down. So it sort of feels like, even if you don't want to feel it, but it feels like 2017 times when hacks are happening. People are saying, don't put your money in. I'm saying contracts are not audited, but still people are putting millions of dollars. I mean, they are saying that we trust you, even though the person behind it saying, don't trust me. And people are losing those money, and there are some crazy amount. Then in the name of governance token, people are literally just going on behind for making quick money instead of not understanding the true value of governance as a community. And that is something that I think even it's not going to last longer. But whatever development I've seen so far, there is some sustainable and fundamental development in the DeFi space as well, which will make whatever we are seeing on traditional finance, so on the blockchain space as well, on the public networks or on the decentralized manner as well. And which is very exciting. Even apart from all these scams, apart from all this FOMO stuff that is going on, the fundamental growth that I'm seeing, that is something that I'm really interested in and very exciting in. And and as we are talking, if we talk about India, so even though, as Ashish said, it's decentralized, open for everyone, but the kind of projects that we are seeing this time coming from India in terms of DeFi, if we compare to 2017, I would say India is, Indian projects are doing much better, and I'm seeing a lot of good, fundamentals there. Satik, please. What's your view?
So I think after being in the crypto space for more than 7 years so far, I think I have developed the very niche ability to really see how things were before and how things have changed now, and then what does the delta mean, right? So that's exactly what is like important for us to understand. What does the new thing, whatever has come up, really mean, right? So at one point of time, we had different countries issuing their own currencies, and then in a way, Bitcoin got some of those things together with a simple and single set of rules saying this is how it is supposed to be. And then we have a bunch of cryptocurrencies similar to that, right? So when it comes to decentralized financing, again, we will have to understand that the financing always existed, right? So it used to be done by banks, so which in a way semi-decentralized manner, because it's every bank had its own method of how it want to issue loans, and there were also money lenders, right? So there was like unlimited number of money lenders, and the terms between all these entities of people always used to change, and the risk assessment and the maybe CIBIL scores or whatever scores exist behind it. So all of them were significantly influencing when it comes to a person who need access to some kind of finances, right? But when it comes to decentralized financing, one big challenge that continue to exist is the person who want the ability to get a finance need to start with some kind of crypto asset, right? So that is a huge bottleneck that exists, and which also means that going forward, if access to these kinds of crypto assets become really easy, which obviously that's what all of us will be working for, then the decentralized financing make a lot of sense, of course, right? So then it is like a one set of rules, one set of protocols. You are not distinguishing. Nothing is getting overvalued. The things are not becoming like non-performing assets, and everyone have the peace of mind that it is not someone who could take a bribe and overvalue something and give loan from their fixed deposit and screw it up, right? So in that way, if you see, this is definitely better, and it's about the matter of time. If I want to talk about like how many people know about this, how many people have access to this, at least if I take India as a country, right? So maybe less than 1% have access to even any kind of crypto asset to start with. And the decentralized financing was not even in view or in everyone's notice of these 1% audience, right? So like 4 or 5 months ago, and it has now taken up some shape, and people are also understanding that. So who are the customers for decentralized financing? Again, someone who already have access to cryptos, right? So you will start with the crypto, exit with the crypto, and sometimes get yield as a crypto. So it is like a new world by itself altogether, right? So, and someone who do not understand about crypto is like absolutely not bothered, and it'll probably take maybe another 5 years or 10 years for them to really get access to easy access and understandable. And maybe it's on one side you need education, other side you need regulation, clarity, trustworthiness, then big brands behind it, then you need famous people talking about it. So all these things, as it keeps on adding up, eventually there will be say more trust that gets put into these kinds of networks. So it is like in 2011, if I were talking about Bitcoin, it was tough, right? So and even in 2015, I used to face a lot of problem. And there are times when I try to explain Bitcoin, and if I cannot make them or make them concentrate within the first 2 minutes, then their concentration is lost, saying that, okay, this is something out of nowhere. It's just like something in the thin air he's talking about, right? So now at least it is not that crazy anymore. So people does give some interest into this. And on the other side, the value associated with cryptocurrencies is what making more people interested in this. It is not yet the technology. But all of us need to understand that why the value exists itself is because there is a technology behind it. So whatever we are valuing is because there is something superior going forward that this industry will be capable of achieving that is not possible in the traditional method of banking. So when it comes to the DeFi as well, in the very similar manner, it is so much that a private lender or a pawn shop probably will be charging about 80 to 24% per year. But maybe if I go to the bank and do some collateral of a home or something like that, probably then I'm only getting charged like 7% of interest per year. So there is so much of say disparity exists, right? And how will these things come together without someone in between, right? So I think obviously the answer to that is if this decentralized financing become popular. So how we saw Bitcoin to be the winner in the cryptocurrency market, at least what we have seen so far, and now that has become the guidelines for a lot of other cryptocurrency holders, thinkers, new projects, etc. So what it will be when it comes to the decentralized financing is yet to be known. It will take maybe a year or two to finally understand what is the real status quo of this new industry to start with. And like Om was saying, so these governance token, most of the people do not understand what it is all about. So they just try to buy it hoping that the price of it goes up and nothing else they know. I mean, if you want to argue it that way, a lot of people who are into crypto space, into Bitcoin also do not know what it is, right? So they would have seen the graphs and the company like ours would have given them a easy to access interface and they are into it, right? So irrespective of how much you talk about the risks associated, not many people, or I would say lot of people don't read the terms and conditions. It is I mean, we are not used to reading terms and conditions nor reading the manuals of electronic gadgets, right? So it's like kept very aside. So I think education also becomes very important, and going forward, probably in about 2 or 3 years, I think we will see more realistically what sustained this kinds of hype, and maybe that will form the norm for whatever projects which come afterwards, which will probably be more realistic. and it could be more long-standing. So today, whatever is happening, it's like haywire. Yeah, that's what I think.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for your expertise. I have a very interesting question right here. So the 2008 recession gave us Bitcoin. So will recession due to COVID-19 show the true value of DeFi? Any of you can take this up. All of you, in fact, you guys can have a discussion on the same.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go after Ashish. Go.
Yeah, you were
No,
going?
yes, we say something.
Yeah,
Ashish, I think we should start with you because you clearly mentioned it in your short brief this thing also. Mentioning the same that you regret the fact that 2011 is when you actually got to know about Bitcoin, and you regret that you didn't invest into it, and now that it's been a couple of years, you look
Right.
back in time and be like, shit, okay, I should have really got it back then.
Yeah, so the first time I heard about Bitcoin was back in 2011 when I was at my granny's place watching a documentary on Doordarshan. So at that time, I think it was like 50 rupees or something. I did not think about investing back then, but that does not mean that I should be investing in, any DeFi coins that pop up right now. There should be enough due diligence that people do. Like from the bottom, after the COVID-19 crash in March 2019, Bitcoin is up quite a lot from 3,800 to 11,500 now. Yeah, 11,300. So I think even that buying that dip was a good decision, but still, like people should probably do their own research before investing or doing anything in any market for that matter, even the equity markets or the DeFi markets or anything. Yeah.
Start with your team.
Yeah, so with talking about like he was Asha was talking about governance, right? One thing I want to just highlight there is, let's say if there were governance token for Bitcoin protocol, how many of us would purchase it? I mean, see, more or less it is so well set in stone. I don't know what do people bother about governance so much. But anyway, so that is just again like money making thing. Okay, so to talk about the COVID, I think this is a very good way we could relate it, but I don't think it's the reason. Because see, on one side, I definitely see there's so much of people who have lost the jobs. In India, at least, we have seen so much of new gold selling and lending businesses have taken birth within the last like 6-7 months. It's humongous. So which obviously mean that the market has improved so much where people need access to financing. And COVID actually makes people to say scratch the bottom of their pot of money, or but whatever they have, they will just kind of run out of it way too sooner than they think, because I mean whenever the people have taken cut in their salaries, and a lot of businesses are getting closed. The people who were in business are now getting employed somewhere, and people who are employed are now turning back home. So I know there is definitely one step down I mean, when it comes to lot of people. So this essentially means a lot of us will think that I wish there was a better way for people to take or access some kind of finances. The credit cards will do some part of work, but that again, if you don't pay it in time, that's a huge interest rates, right? And the gold, not everyone are comfortable with, even though these wives will say that it's an investment, the husbands will never get an opportunity to pledge it. So given these things, right? So having an access to these kinds of decentralized financing is great, and probably say in about 2 or 3 years, depending on how it works, we will know what was the effect of COVID on decentralized finances. So maybe we will have to retrofit it at that point of time. Today, I cannot relate it completely yet.
Yeah, I mean,
But how does one actually make money with DeFi? Like I myself am new to the whole industry, getting to know what actually decentralized finance is and what centralized finance, like everything. I'm actually paying attention to what we're into currently, and then coming to DeFi. So like how does one actually make money with DeFi?
Okay, so I think I can see like two methods. I definitely am not a DeFi expert, but I only know to some extent, right? So on one side, you can lend your tokens and get yield, right? So that is like one way of doing it. And the other I have heard of is like it's again not directly DeFi but decentralized exchange. So where you provide the liquidity or market making to the order books where like there are some tokens being exchanged on one side, right? So I mean that's what I that here, and the indirect way is to buy those government tokens and hoping that the price of it will really go up. So I mean everyone has its own pitfalls, but yeah, that's what it looks like.
I'm sure Om has been building a couple of products.
I just want to highlight one thing.
Now, I think Om can also give us his input.
Yeah. See, so also from the previous question, I don't think that COVID recession or even that we see it was a short term of recession has done anything to DeFi. Maybe let's say some minuscule amount of people wanted to get some loans on their crypto because they had some other holdings going down. But I don't think that's what initiated the fire. It's just, I guess, it's just some sort of people were all sitting home. I can't even say how it started. We will get to know after a year how this all started. But the thing is, it has started, and a lot of people are doing it and making a lot of money. And the other thing is, what I just to point to that question to Satvik, that why the governance tokens and all these things are coming up, most of them which doesn't make sense. And if Bitcoin has to have a governance token, it would be Bitcoin actually. There wouldn't be any other token, right? And you wouldn't require any other token. So it's sort of the idea of governance came from on-chain governance, which was always a topic between Bitcoin and Ethereum as off-chain governance, and Tezos and others on-chain governance, and then people incorporate into the blockchain protocol itself, and now it's all haywire going up. So still to make money, there are multiple techniques. I've been following all of these things for quite some time, but I haven't hugely tried all the methods, because first thing I usually I try to do stuff with very small amount of money, just to because I want to know what's going on, but not some big amount of money, because I have my own risk strategy or whatever you can say. But still, I would advise that first, if you were just to talk about how to make money, what Satvik said, there is lending, there is borrowing. You can provide liquidity to different sort of AMM pools like Uniswap, Balancer. Then you can also get those liquidity pools tokens to do farm some other tokens which are listed on DEX, which are going 2,000% a day, and then sell them there and get your Ethereum back. So it's sort of and what you are assuming is the value of the token, or whatever new tokens you are farming doesn't go down. So currently, for some project, it's working. And you recently saw that recently, I guess a month ago, most of the DeFi tokens fell a lot. So when it was about to go on peak, and I'm assuming a lot of people might have lost money. So I would still say when I see any APY giving like 3,000%, I personally refrain from it. If it's like 15%, 16%, it's like okay, it might be possible. But if it's going 30,000%, it's at that. I'm like, there has to be some sort of stuff there. And if I want to try it, I will be very cautious with invest what you can afford to lose kind of mentality, and then I would try to do that. But if you want to just make money, I would still say, it's up to your own risk appetite. There are multiple ways to do that, but keep that in mind in DeFi this time for seriously, that you invest what you can afford to lose.
Yeah, definitely. So we have Bitcoin, and then we have wrapped Bitcoin, right? So I think in a similar way, as of now, we have recession and it is wrapped with COVID. So I think, let's say if the COVID was not there, probably DeFi would have got associated with the second decision that we would have seen since the introduction of Bitcoin. So that's how I think. So, when people don't have money to spend, that is when maybe the ideas come up.
I think also in DeFi, like if, for example, even if somebody who is into crypto has some Ethereum, wants to explore with say Uniswap, and wants to provide liquidity and wants to start with say $50. So $50 worth of Ethereum and $50 worth of USD. You put in a pool together, and then you farm some token that you want. So I think one of the problems that stop people, that actually stopped me, was like one of my friends told me, okay, there's this new DeFi token that's coming up. Let's go and farm it. Like, okay, so get started with $50. But when I went to do that transaction on MetaMask, I think it was a very peak time. It asked me about $20 in gas fees.
Story of my life. Yeah.
To put in $50, I have to spend $20. So I'm not going to even try to do this. But once the gas fees, comes back to $5, I did try it once, but it did not turn out the way I expected it to.
I think
still,
I think gas fees is not the one we should be bothered about here, because in Ethereum it is so, and if you see even Bitcoin, right? So in 2016, 2017, late 2017, per transaction people end up paying as much as 0.02, which is like $200 today, right? So with that kind of, but that is the peak, and if you want it on that day, you pay, and if you can wait, then it'll obviously be much less. Today, a Bitcoin transaction gets through with less like $1 or $2 itself, right? So, but on the other side, decentralized finance as a concept itself, it looks like Ethereum is an inefficient blockchain for it. So we would obviously need Serum or maybe Matic, which runs on top of Ethereum, or maybe Lightning Network, that eventually can start supporting the smart contracts, or maybe RSK. So we would definitely need the secondary layer on top of the present blockchain cells. Over a period of time, just imagine like how Bitcoin cannot support thousands of transactions per second. It is very true with, even if it is DeFi transaction, is also the transaction on that same blockchain, that it is not happening somewhere else. So that again means that it will throttle for the same reason as well. So the only way is to have more efficient blockchains, or maybe layer 2 blockchains, which will eventually square off to the parent blockchain. So something like that probably is what we will eventually need. In the present setup, it's only like a POC. It will not sustain.
Yeah, I agree with Satvik. So currently, most of the DeFi either have to shift to layer 2 or layer 1, on the other efficient blockchains. Other thing that I was just thinking about, the governance tokens that was flowing, I know that's keep coming in my mind. So if you look at them, if you look at the inflation policies, how the things are happening. So what's happening is currently we are seeing they have very high inflation in the, let's say for first year or first whatever the period is, and then there is halving gonna come up and inflation is eventually gonna reduce, and then whatever farming you are doing, which is the yield farming, which is the craziest stuff going on right now, where people are making most of the money. And if you keep holding those tokens, then the inflation is eventually going to decrease, and people are going to move to some another DeFi project, and they are going to lose. It's speculation I'm making. I'm first to be clear what I think. But inflation is so high in most of these projects that most of it seems unrealistic to me, and without having any significant amount of utility of these tokens. So it's like there is another AMM, there's another AMM, there's new technology. It's just like in 2017 for scalability, there were like hundreds of solutions. In the same way, here we are showing AMMs, VAMMs, PAMMs, BAMMs, CMMs, and all of this. You put your liquidity here, there, and so it's still very unstructured way to go about it. You can and if you, it's like a trap. If I have to say, so if you go into it that okay, you enter into it, you are farming some tokens and you are holding them, and then tomorrow there is halving and some value decreases and you are actually losing whatever you are holding, and then you are in trap. What should I do next? Or maybe I should farm more tokens with this bunch of stuff. So yeah, I tried fitting all this in a structured way, but I couldn't. I tried, but I now stay away from all this. And the Ethereum fees issue, that is also a real pain in the current DeFi space.
Can you tell us about the DeFi services trending these days?
What if I can tell what I like in DeFi, genuine products, and then others can follow. So I still like what started the DeFi narrative in the first place. So like compound, basic lending, borrowing, not too high yields. It's just there is it's very well established, settled. I like Uniswap because Uniswap is what started this entire AMM revolutions, and other than that, for stable coins, they are, I like to go with what's the most established MakerDAO DAI, which is, has been maintaining its peg for the longest time, while others are losing their USD peg, and there's a lot of arbitrage opportunities for traders as well. Then these are the main three projects that I like, and I was genuinely interested in their technology and how they are doing their work. Uh, Other than that, not not too much of fan. Yeah.
All right. Ashish?
Yeah, like Om said, right? Basically, yield farming and AMMs and borrow lending is something really cool about DeFi. But again, I think there is this bottleneck, right? Like Satvik said, you cannot, like at least in Edge 1.0, you cannot scale it. Like for, it is not, people are not tempted to use it because of high gas fees. So maybe Edge 2.0 or maybe side chains or maybe blockchains like Solana or Serum that have like less gas fees and are faster. Maybe that would take DeFi to the next level. So if if there is a lot of innovations on side chains and on other blockchains that scale, and there's a lot of interest, there's a lot of development. Like basically, it all boils down to community, in my opinion. So Ethereum has a large community. There are a lot of developers, programming on it, working on it. Even Bitcoin has a large community. But I think Ethereum is more at the forefront in terms of development. Bitcoin has its own niche where Lightning Network and everything else is going on. But yeah, I think like one of the main ways DeFi can progress is by people actively getting involved in a certain way. And if like it does not have to be dependent on a single blockchain. There could be many blockchains. There could be cross-chain swaps that could be happening. And people exchanging stuff between Bitcoin and Ethereum on the go. So yeah.
Yeah, one point just come to my mind is about regulation. So 2017 we saw a lot of boom. Then came SEC cracking down on a lot of projects, regarding the regulation. So yesterday I was also listening to what SEC commissioner and those people have to say about DeFi, and they are still sort of formulating or seeing what is happening. So as Satvik said, we still cannot be very sure that this is all gonna work out, because we never know what kind of regulatory framework they're gonna come up with. Like there was discussion about the airdrop of Uniswap, and there are various bunch of case studies going on in different parts of the world. So regulation is also gonna play a major role, because as far as the Bitcoin is concerned, after so many years, it feels like okay, Bitcoin has sorted down, not a lot, but still in a lot of jurisdictions. But DeFi is totally new, and it's like you are not even doing any KYC AML for yield farming and the people who are minting the new tokens out of thin air. And SEC in 2017, when a lot of ICO was happening, cracked down on a lot of them who didn't do KYC AML, including Tezos, and then they have to do the KYC AML of each user. And here, how are you going to do that if you don't even know who is getting them? And it's that is also some of a concern that I think we might have to face.
Yeah, I think see the decentralized currency like Bitcoin, it kind of challenged the central banks across the world, and now this DeFi is challenging the banks itself, right? So at individual branch and their livelihood level, if it really becomes successful, let's say if we have say these non-fungible tokens really picking up and everything gets registered on the blockchain. So then I have my house as well as a non-fungible token as like one full token, right? So then taking the loan on top of my house. I mean, see, at the end there is, as long as there is a value for it, and then people are lending money, and then we pay the interest. The borrower will pay the interest. So it's kind of like how the Bitcoins sorted out the problem from issuance to the governance of how the transactions itself should work, and there is an incentive for people who are helping the transaction. So it's like a completely built ecosystem. So more or less, the DeFi is also kind of heading in that direction, but a lot of fine tuning should occur. But I think if this becomes really famous, the splashback or the opposition will be of much higher fold as compared to what we saw when it was just like simple. I won't say simple, but the cryptocurrencies which took away, which took away the rights that okay, it has to happen in this way now. No, the code is different, happens in this way, and people kind of agree. So it will have difficulty for regulators to just agree to this new norm of the DeFi. So when it comes from normal banks to the cryptocurrencies, some part of the AML KYC was lost. No matter how much we talk about the traceability on the blockchain, you will be able to know who is doing it, because at one point of the time in the entire chain there will be some exchanges which would have collected KYC documents, etc. But it was tough. But when it comes to the decentralized financing, even that anchor points are gone, right? So that makes it way too challenging, and this also would mean it's easy for people to launder the money, right? So see, today we know that at least some addresses which hold the hacked bitcoins and such. So that is to some extent public information, and exchanges can take care of it because they are centralized. But the decentralized finance industry itself can take care that it will avoid the stolen or hacked coins. It's not going to happen. So it becomes very easy for those hacked coins to get into the circulation, and once it just mixes with the rest of the coins, then it's like any other coin. So it is definitely posing a lot of new challenges, is what I think. So to answer what kind of DeFi projects I think generally I like the one where you don't lose money, I guess. So at least whatever you're investing, I'm not talking about governance token. I'm more talking about if you want to lend something, right? So sometimes it could just go down, whatever, and it may get liquidated, whatnot. So as long as the customer who is putting money into this can take it back, the same amount of money in the same coins, it may be good. On one side, we definitely see, okay, this person made X amount of money, and where did that money come from? Someone else, a lot of times, someone else lost it. Right. So, and the person who gets, maybe he will tell it to 10 people, but the person who loses, he will tell to 100 people. Right. So, we don't want bad name for something we have not fully experimented with. So, it is, everyone should perform their own research before they get in and understand the risk is like really, really high. And it is not about, and this definitely not something where someone could completely trust their savings with. It is just, say, experimental right now.
So we have a really interesting question here for Om. Om, how does one actually identify a DeFi bubble?
When you are seeing APY of 4,000, 5,000%, I guess. How I see, in my life, I've seen only, I wasn't too much aware, or that time very much conscious in 2001 bubble. That is something that, Satvik and others might have faced. But the bubble that I saw was 2017. So I usually relate all of the bubble stuff to that. That is in my experience. And that was also the same time when we were seeing, 300% of growth, 400% of growth. Even the person who is, selling pans on the corner was talking about Bitcoin, that how do I make money through Bitcoin? And he didn't have any idea what Bitcoin is. He didn't even know if it's a currency or what. It just, some sort of, he read in the newspaper and it said, take my money, put it in somewhere. And I said, okay, I won't do it. But when that's what I think. When, person who you wouldn't think that he would be talking about Bitcoin or something, something like that. That's when I think, some sort of bubble is happening, because and that's what I'm seeing. I've started getting messages from some very random people who didn't have anything to do with even the technology or crypto or anything, far away. and saying, hey, you are working on this, can you take my money and quickly. First they assume that you are making a lot of money, which you usually don't, and then then they want you to.
I think
Right.
that's the slides at the top of the book,
One
right?
of the really high myths, right? So people think exchanges make a lot of money. People think whoever are in the crypto space make shitloads of money, and they associate with Lamborghinis. Wow,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Yeah, I mean it's forget about someone else. Even your own friends and relatives don't believe you that you don't have money sometimes when you don't have it. So
Yeah, exactly. That's true. That's very hard to explain. So when that starts happen, that's when that's when I start looking into. That's why how I started looking into DeFi for last 1.5 2 months very deeply. And I think if the question was how to make money, it is it's very risky. I would say it's honestly it's very risky. There are many risks. You can get liquidated. Night within night. So you need to know that if you're lending, there is some sort of liquidation ratio, and if the price of the currency goes overnight, you get totally liquidated. There is a risk. Don't think the market is totally stable now. We don't know. We have seen major kind of drops happening in this market. So it's totally up to your risk appetite if you are willing. And yeah, honestly, just start with if even if you want to start with like 20, 30, $50. Don't go too much. Don't start too much. Don't start with too much. And how to identify a good DeFi project? That is, it's yeah, it where the risk of losing your money is very low. That's how I would say, as Satvik said, where liquidation ratio is where there is no liquidation ratio itself, and the project where there is no liquidation, the APY or the interest would be low eventually. So if you are looking for higher percentage there, the likely the liquidation would be likely. So it's high risk high returns or low risk low returns kind of a game.
yeah, and also I mean, a lot of us easily say that do your own research. And I sometimes wonder to what extent a common man can research when it comes to DeFi, right? So it will take maybe a year for him to understand all pieces before DeFi to finally come up to DeFi and then realize what it is like, right? So I think it is more like everyone's responsibility to make sure that uh, the people who actually have knowledge don't encourage the bad projects and forget about the small money making opportunity. Once you will do it, and in 2 more times you lose it. So at the end of the day, uh, it is not really going away, and it just gives a bad impression of the entire industry to a common man, which we should be much more bothered about. So when I say Bitcoin, a lot of people even today tell us, "Oh my God, it's used by the people to launder the money, to convert the money." I mean, that is not the perception we as the people in the industry want to create among common man, right? So we want them to understand the benefits of it and let them understand or let them figure out if they want to get involved because they bought that idea. Uh, but just using in DeFi space as well, we saw so many projects getting launched and we don't even know who the person who is launching. It's like pseudonym, like Satoshi, right? So that makes trustworthiness of the entire project kind of questionable. And again, the answer that we give is no. It is open source. You can read it yourself. And how many people read the open source? Right. So not even like 0.1% or 1%. So what about the remaining 99? Right. So see that question kinds of. I mean, the people who get cheated are in the 99. They are definitely not in that 1%. Anyway, so I think making sure there are no insane projects, or at least they are not getting encouraged. So no matter what, there will be people who want to make quick money and they enter the market, right? So and they come into the market with a technologist, with a marketing person, with an investor. So they put together the entire thing, whatever is required, and come at once, right? So and how can you identify it? It's definitely tough. I mean, test of time is one of the ways where it could kind of reveal itself. But lot of us people think that if you start waiting for 1 year, then whatever profit you would have got I mean, that is already taken by someone else, right? So any new coin that comes up would have taken its best possible route of increase in its value in the first 2 years, or first 1 year, or first 2 years. So it is like a very tricky thing, I think. So there is no silver bullet, is what I think. So at least the people should be aware that if they don't know what they are doing, at least identify the ones where there are no liquidations. So you at least have the surety of your money, as long as the smart contract that exists behind it is good. So that's all a common man could do. Research is not easy.
Yeah, and even if you are putting it anywhere, make sure, for God's sake, the contracts are audited and there is some sort of security behind it. And because these days it's very easy, there could be a backdoor, or many contracts are being hacked. So make sure of that. And and you can, I mean, there are many people. You can also ask questions. It's they're not, let's say, I would say that in the community there are many people who you can reach out to, and you can at least just ask for that what is happening in this space, or not an investment advice, but still some sort of, because if there is some absolute scam and you are putting your money there, I'm sure that everybody would advise you to stay away from it, like OneCoin or Apecoin, something like that is happening.
All right, Om, thank you so much. We have a final question out here, that what are your thoughts on Bitcoin hedging? Do you think it's a better option to invest?
Bitcoin hedging.
I mean, hedging against what?
Yeah.
So I think they're talking about hedging against inflation, maybe. So I think the basic one-line answer I give is, if you don't know anything else and still want to get involved, maybe Bitcoin is the way to go. Don't worry way too much. At least for time being, if I'm forced to say, give some guidelines, out of everything else, the less riskier one is Bitcoin. So it just comes down to that. At one point of time, we'll definitely see decentralized financing as well. I mean, whatever things we can think about, it eventually will be available on the Bitcoin or its derivatives, and it will capture its value anyway. So I mean, sometimes I figure out, like, everything else, whatever we are doing is like labs. The experiment is going on, and finally all of that, the live production will be on Bitcoin, but I don't know. So that is that's a thing we will eventually have to see if it goes that way. But if you don't know anything else, probably Bitcoin is the better one, I guess.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if I have to say what I'm most bullish on, I'm still most bullish on Bitcoin, and I'm still most bullish on Bitcoin for next years to come. And we are seeing the most fundamental and sustainable development in the Bitcoin space as of now.
Perfect. So next week we guys are getting into yield farming and how farming takes place. Also, we have a couple of more things lined up in the DeFi space, and I think we're short of time today, so we're going to wind up for now. And I'd like to thank all of you for taking out time on a Friday evening and discussing the rise of decentralized finance.
Thank you.
Mr. Nemish has been mentioning, you guys have completely confused me. What is happening? So Nemish, I think we're going to invite you next time to host the event. And thank you so much for your time, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for me having us.
A big round of applause for our sponsors and media partners. Thank you, FTX. Thank you, media partners, CoinCrunch India, Blockmanity, and CoinPost. Thank you all.
Thank
you. See you soon.